Hey guys, welcome back. Going to be running through 4 brand new polls that have been released so far today, a national poll, and then 3 state-specific results out of Texas, New York, as well as Florida. And it is worth noting that those 3 state-specific polls were taken before the Nevada caucus, so potentially not as much of a boost that Sanders might have otherwise received. And then also maybe to some extent Joe Biden with his second place finish. But since Biden was so significantly back of Sanders in that first and second place slot, maybe he doesn't end up getting all that much of a boost. But nonetheless, going to be starting off here with this national poll, which actually does show us post-Nevada caucus numbers. And this is a sample size here from the Morning Consult of 2,631 respondents. And again, those were the individuals taken post-Nevada caucus, which now has Sanders up to 32% of support, a 13-point lead over Michael Bloomberg, who is at 19%. He picks up 2 points from where he was post-debate. It was a really poor debate performance there from Michael Bloomberg. He took a 3 percentage point step back, but since then, going past the Nevada caucus, he's been able to regain a bit, picking up 2 points. Biden recedes 1 point down to 18. So actually, post-Nevada caucus, even though he did come in second, doesn't look like he was able to get much in the way of a boost, actually receding a point there to 18. Pete Buttigieg staying flat at 11. Warren loses a point down to 11. Amy Klobuchar at 4. She loses a point. Tom Steyer staying there at 3. And then also Tulsi Gabbard bringing in 2 percentage points. So we can see how things have changed over the course of this past week, where pre-Nevada debate, so essentially a week ago, Sanders had an 8-point lead over Michael Bloomberg, 28-20. And then after going through that Nevada debate and the Nevada caucus, Sanders is now able to open up a 13-point lead past Michael Bloomberg, where it was at just 8 points a week ago. So now going through these state-specific polls, I'm going to open up here with Texas, and Sanders has been starting to do a lot of rallies in the state of Texas. It is a key Super Tuesday state. It has a ton of pledged delegates that are going to be up for grabs. And Sanders, with his strength that he's shown among Latino and Hispanic voters, we can see that there's a possibility for him to have a bit of success potentially in Texas, even though the polling over this past year in the state of Texas hasn't necessarily been all that favorable for Sanders. There is a pathway for him to potentially go on and win the state and get a decent amount of those pledged delegates. So we can see here in comparing this resource from YouGov out of the state of Texas compared to the last time YouGov did a Texas poll, which was back towards the end of October, a bit of shifting around in the data. So we can see very close and competitive at the top, where both Biden and Sanders are hovering around 20%. Sanders picks up 8 points from that prior poll, so he went from 12 to 20, whereas Biden recedes back 3 points. He was at 23. Now in this one, he's at 20. Next, you have Warren, who's hovering around about 17 points, losing a point from the prior result. Bloomberg, he was at 0, of course, in the prior poll because he hadn't officially announced that he was running yet, so he opens up here at about 12%. Buttigieg picks up 5 points, up to around 11. Klobuchar picks up 5 points, up to around 6 to 7%. And then Tulsi Gabbard picks up 1 point, to around 3 percentage points of support. This is a sample size here from this YouGov Texas poll of about 1,352 respondents. So now moving over to the next poll, this one coming out of the state of New York, and this one coming from Siena College, a sample size of only 315 respondents, and this is a change from this polling resource in contrast to where they were in their prior result, which was on November 18th. And Sanders taking a large step forward. He's in first place at 25%, picking up 12 points from that prior number. Bloomberg, he wasn't in the prior poll, but in this one, he's starting there in second place at 21 points. Biden recedes back quite significantly, where he's now down to 13%. He loses 11 points of support. Warren is sitting there at 11 points. In fourth place, she loses 3%. Buttigieg picks up 4 points. He's now sitting at 9. And then Klobuchar picks up 8 percentage points. He's also sitting at 9%. And then the other candidates, Gabbard and Steyer, barely registering anything in the way of support. And just one more poll to take a look at here. This one coming from Florida. And a lot of these Florida polls haven't necessarily been all that bullish on Bernie Sanders. And again, like the other 2 state-specific polls that I've already touched on, these were taken before the Nevada caucus took place. So again, that could have possibly affected things, maybe showing a little bit more strength for Bernie, just given how convincing that Nevada caucus victory ended up being. But we can see in this Florida poll, very competitive among the top 3, where you have Michael Bloomberg leading the way at 23%. We have a sample size here from this poll of 313 respondents, so a rather large margin of error of about 5.5%. This one coming from from Florida Southern College, and we don't have a prior resource from this particular polling outlet to compare this to, but we have Bloomberg again there in first place at 23, Biden very close there at 22, Sanders respectable at 18, followed by Warren, who's at 12, Buttigieg at 9, and Amy Klobuchar, who is at 5 percentage points. So those are the 4 polls that I want to go through that have been released so far today. So that's going to wrap this one up. We're getting closer and closer to getting to 100% of the results in coming from those Nevada caucuses, and then at that point we'll get an idea of how exactly those pledged delegates are going to be divvied up, and as soon as that happens, I'll be updating you guys with the pledged delegate tracker so we can see exactly where this race is and how close, or in this situation, how far away these candidates are currently standing from reaching the 1,991 pledged delegates that they'll need to win on the first ballot at the convention. So I hope to see you back here for that next video, and also going to be continuing to update what the polls are saying over this next week. We should get a lot of data, especially with Super Tuesday just around the corner. Probably going to continue to get some interesting data out of those states, especially post-Nevada caucus, where there was such a significant result in terms of the frontrunner going on and grabbing a commanding victory that could possibly change things a bit in some of these upcoming polls. So I hope to see you guys back here for future videos.